I'm Frank and Shi. This is The Wave. With artificial intelligence, business aims to unveil innovative services to attain more recognition in the regional market. Today, an entrepreneur starting his entrepreneurship and career since 13 years old. So you don't have me wrong, it's 13, very young age here, and he will share his thoughts on evolving technology and his entrepreneurship to start a mobility unicorn. So today, joining me now is Mr. Aaron Tan, co-founder and group CEO of Carro. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think first, we already pointed out artificial intelligence. So how does your platform integrate artificial intelligence to provide the efficiency and predictability to your customer?
Yeah. So we look at AI in three manners, right? Yeah. So for us, the Chinese would say 望闻问切, is basically to listen, to see,
yes.
and stuff like that. So the first thing we have for AI implementation actually is our computer vision, right? So taking a few pictures of the cars itself, we're able to detect, have the car been in an accident? How much is the cost of repair of the vehicle? How long is it going to take and stuff like that, right? So this is a lot of this, the underlying thing that we have built really is this AI machine learning model that we have done that allows us to determine whether or not this car has been in an accident and stuff. So this is very important for us because as a marketplace, we don't want to end up buying the wrong car, right? If you end up buying the wrong car, the cost is actually very high.
Yeah.
Because if the car is X flood, X accident, it's costly for us. So that's one part, which is computer vision. Second part of things that we do a lot that is actually unique to Carro itself is computer sound, right? Listening to the engine, listening to the cars itself. How do you determine whether the car is a good quality vehicle or is it a bad quality car? Is there potentially an accident, potentially an issue that's coming up soon in the next few months? So listening to the car is the other thing that we do a lot, which is listening to the engine, listening to the sound waves that's emission, not emissions, but the sound wave that's output by the vehicles. We then try to determine, is this car okay? Is this car having issues and stuff and whatnot? The third thing that we do a lot in AI or machine learning is actually pricing, right? Dynamically pricing the vehicles based on market demand is one thing by itself. How do you determine, what's the price to buy in the car in? What's the price to sell out? And do you want to sell out today or should you push out and sell out in 2 months' time? So stuff like that, a lot of the pricing, the decision engine is all driven by AI internally in the company today. The last project that we are embarking on, and we don't have a good solution for this. We are still working on it. We don't have a complete solution for this, is actually how do we replace humans entirely, right? In the whole process of negotiating, in the whole process of introducing the car, in the whole process of even the haggling of the pricing and stuff and whatnot, right? So the back and forth with the customers is exactly what we are doing right now today, using AI, especially Gen AI, to remove the need for customer service, salespersons and stuff and whatnot across the group in any languages. So today, a customer that is from Thailand, if he's buying a car in Singapore, and he can only speak Thai, just assuming so, I have no problem because the AI will be able to speak any language they want, right, and negotiate and tell the customer exactly what to expect and close the deal. And that's, for us, the mission, right? How do we get there? Selling the car from point A to point B without the need for human involvement.
I think one point that I have to ask, because right now there's some criticism about ethics and about how deep we can use artificial intelligence into different businesses. As what you said, of course, the artificial intelligence also help you on to make sure that the car's safety is at the right place, the price is right. But you talk about human connections there. What's the feedback from your customer? Because as what you said, of course, on your platform there, no salesperson there. Some people, of course, when you buy a second-hand car, you need a middleman to make sure everything in the traditional mindset. Right. But how about from your side? What's the customer's feedback on this one?
So I think the trick, or for that matter, the holy grail for us is to implement the AI in a way that the customers don't even know that they are talking, they're interacting with an AI, right? So I think for us, that's quite important, Basically, having that human element for AI, the humanification, if there's such a word, of AI in that sense is super important for us. So as we do this, we try not to make it look too much like the machine is answering you the question. Though the truth is that quite a bit of the questions are answered by the machine. That's why our SLA, our response time is actually in the seconds, right? So the moment you ask a question, how much is this car? Is there a negotiation price and stuff or whatnot? The machine can answer to you. Or if you ever call us, a lot of the calls are also using what we call voice AI, right? So in a sense that the voice then responds to you, ask any questions and stuff like that. And oftentimes, trust me, you will not be able to tell the difference whether or not you're speaking to an AI or a customer support on the phone.
Can the AI system really solve complicated questions
So,
or deep questions?
Yes, the truth is that it can, maybe I would say 70-80%. Of course, we are always improving it in that sense, right? But when it comes towards generic questions about buying and selling, about the vehicles itself, I would tend to say that actually the AI is more accurate than humans. Because there's only that much the humans would know about a particular vehicle, make, model, and even pricing. But the AI itself knows just that much more, right? And so as a result, I think I would say, depending on the scenario, depending on the sectors, the AI can be a lot more accurate or complex, right? In that sense, even if it's complex questions, the AI can actually give you a very good answer.
But at the end, the back office still has have real
Overriding.
humans, customer
Correct.
support,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I think currently the right way to think about life is AI as an enabler, AI as a helper, versus AI overtaking humans in that sense, right? I think that's how we like to implement AI at this point in time.
So for the new users to your platform, how do you convince them utilizing your platform?
Yeah.
As in, of course, you talk about artificial intelligence, but in the traditional mindset, they still want to see the car, they still want to test.
Right, yeah.
So how do you convince them?
So first of all, I would say that no customers in the world will buy a car from you just because you have AI. You know, I mean, of course, unless you own Tesla, right? That's different. If you're manufacturing a car, sure. But as a used car marketplace, the customers don't care if you use AI or not, right? For them, they only want to make sure that the car is safe to drive, is a good quality car, and is cheap, right? Or according to their budget. So I would say that we never once use AI to sort of like convince the customers that, hey, you know what, you should come buy a car from us. So the standard branding stuff still needs to be done. Number one, we do a lot of radio. I was just getting an off the phone call with my marketing head, an hour ago. So we do a lot of overarching offline campaigns, right? TV, radio, newspapers, whatever, right? So that's to bring the customers in. Now, as the customer comes in, the truth of the matter is you are also absolutely right. A lot of customers wants to test drive the car. Now, but is it all the customers or is it 50% of the customers? Thank God, it is actually maybe
That's the figure,
yeah, 40, 50 of the customers actually want to test drive the car. And if you give them, say for instance, you know what, there is money back guarantee. In other words, if you drive the car off today without seeing the car, within 7 days, you can return the car, no questions asked. A lot of the customers are just willing to just take the car as is because they trust that the brand, because of marketing, is trustworthy. Number two, they trust that, you know what, if I really don't like the car, I can return the car after 3 days, 7 days, whatever not, right? So as a result, they are more willing to then give the platform a try. Today, depending on the countries itself, right? To be very frank, in Thailand, we are still starting up, right? Still a relatively smaller and younger company in Thailand. But in a more developed market for us, like say in Singapore or even in places like Malaysia, right? Maybe I would say 70, 80%, if not more, of our customers buys the car without seeing it or touching it, right? So I think that's a figure that we're moving forward to even in places like in Thailand or Indonesia. Right?
So is that innovative step really prompt people? Of course, they just test the car first and they can return the car within 7 days.
Yeah.
How special is Thai market? Because you already expand to Thai market. I talked to some CEOs, actually, they face some challenges when they expand to the market because they have to find very qualified Thai team here to support. So how special is the Thailand
market is very different. It's one of the most different markets that we have executed in. As a company itself, I would dare say that we're in many countries, right? So we're in 10 countries, right, globally. Japan, we have Hong Kong, we have Singapore, we have Malaysia, we have Indonesia, right? And you would imagine Indonesia is similar to Thailand. Short answer is no. It doesn't work this way. I mean, let's not even talk about too deep stuff. Let's just say even the mode of engagement of the customers, right? I think Thailand being the social capital of the world is probably not an understatement in that sense, right? I think the Thais, especially the younger Thai people, they tend to be very social media savvy, right? So Facebook, be it Line, be it Instagram, be it TikTok. they're on all of them, right? And so, hitting the right target demographics, making sure that we build trust with them and stuff like that, it's not straightforward here versus say in Singapore, whereby a lot of customers are still Facebook and TikTok driven, right? Maybe, or even in China, TikTok is quite dominant in that sense. So the difference in marketing and stuff and whatnot is very, very apparent in Thailand. So that's one big part of things. Second part of things is also the availability of loans, right? So because for us as a marketplace or as a online car platform, our customers, I would say more than 60-70% of them needs to borrow money for them to buy a car. Now, Thailand side of stuff is actually quite not straightforward to get an auto loan, right? Of course, if you have AAA credit like yourselves, maybe it's less of an issue. But the truth of the matter is a lot of the customers are unbanked, right? So they don't have credit, let alone, let's not talk about bad credit. I'm not talking about the bad credit customers. I'm talking about the unbanked customers, people who just starting out, they just have a new job, right? They're looking to buy a car, they have no credit, right? So that's one segment. Or they have some form of like small defaults in the past, right? Like 10 years ago. So that's also a good portion of customers. We don't need to run into a lot of these issues in Singapore, nor in Malaysia, nor in Japan, right? So how do we then deal with this in Thailand? So stuff like that, there's a lot of market-specific stuff. But as a result, I tend to think that the best way to fix all these issues is to hire local, good Thai people. And I think I must say that in Thailand itself, you guys have no lack of well-qualified, educated individuals like yourselves, right? A lot of my friends, they graduated PhD from University of Southern California. Some of them has a PhD from MIT, for instance, right? They are really born and bred Thais. So I met them when I was based in the US. So a lot of them are with us in the company. And over the years, we have acquired companies, right? So in Thailand specifically, we acquired 2 companies. I think one of them you might have heard of is Kaidi.
Yes.
Right? So we acquired Kaidi, I think a year plus ago. And then we also acquired Moto Auctions, one of the largest auction houses in Thailand itself. So this is also one quick way to buck up in Thailand. Because we are serious about the market, so we spend like literally tens of millions of US dollars to buy all these companies so that we can buck up the overall asset and the people. So in Thailand itself, I think we easily employ about 400 people, 400-500 people in Thailand itself.
You talk about the issues there, of course, for those unbanked population there. What are the solutions? I think, of course, acquisition of companies in Thailand could help, but what are the solutions that you can see to grab this unbanked population to, of course, boost up your market shares in the market? And you have a lot of competitors actually in the market too.
Thank God a lot of them are not around by now. But no, for us, the unbanked side of stuff, we are looking at it actively. So one way to do this, to address this, to start our own multi-finance business. We run a very big multi-finance business in the region, right? Not just in Singapore, Malaysia, everywhere else. So that's one way to do this, which is we come in ourselves to capture that form of market. The very honest reason why we are not doing that is because there is what we call a lack of wholesale funding in Thailand, right? Wholesale funding meaning bank support. So like in Singapore's case, whenever I lend the money out to an end consumer or end corporate customer, doesn't matter, I have back-to-back funding with the bank. But in Thailand, I found it almost impossible to get it, right? And if I need it, I need to get it from Japan, from actually anywhere else except for Thailand, right? So that is the main reason why we're not able to do anything or do too much in terms of multi-finance in Thailand, right? So I think if there's anything that needs to, or can to help the resolve would be the greater flow of what we call wholesale funding to startups, to tech companies, or even to financiers like ourselves, right? I think that would be very useful.
I think that's the mechanism in Thailand, in the system in Thailand, that maybe the government or the authority can look up to and, of course, give the solution rapidly. Of course, you started your entrepreneurship since 13 years old. It's a very, very young age there. Some people may be still in the school to play or to learn, but of course, some young dreamers there, not just in Singapore and in Southeast Asia, they want to get your vision about it because they might want to establish their businesses too, or maybe they just start their dream to have a business. What's your key message to them?
My key message is to try it and do it. So my first company really was I was under 21, right? In Singapore, the legal age is 21 years old. My first company was registered under my grandmother's name, right? So most people do not know this, but the reason why it is important to start young is that you get to fail fast, you get to fail early, and you fail with very minimal cost. You see, if you are 30 years old, if you are 35 years old, you want to start a company, you have what we call a switching costs. You have all this baggage. You have mortgage. Sometimes if you are married, you have kids. You have all these costs. Do you really want to lose your job, start a company from scratch? The answer is probably no, right? But if you start young, right, your opportunity cost is very, very low. Nothing to lose, right, from that standpoint. So the only thing I would say is start young, right? Even though you're 13, 14, 15, 16, 20 years old, whatever, just start something. And it does not need to be a physical business and stuff. The other thing I always tell the young people is it doesn't need to be a very big business. It doesn't need to be tech. Because oftentimes the first thing I always get is, I don't have a tech co-founder. What should I do? I say, look, it's okay. You can be selling the best furnitures in the world. I've met many billionaires. They started out selling furnitures. They started selling water and stuff like that. Does it really need to be tech? No. But if you are tech enabled, the question really is, how do you inject tech? How do you inject AI into traditional industries? Even if you're manufacturing water, manufacturing cars, manufacturing lights, doesn't matter. How do you look at an existing old industry, tear it apart, ask yourself this question, how do you reinvent this thing?
Yeah.
And that's the opportunity. And that's what we did to the auto trade, the used car business. It's a decades old business. Nobody talks about it. But when we came in, because we have capital, we are able to innovate, think about how to make it different, and really change the game, right? So I think for the young people out there, start early, start young. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is don't be afraid of like losing or failing. Third thing I would say really is look at traditional old industries. It does not have to be tech. The question is not about building a tech company. It's about how do we look at an old industry, inject tech, and make it better.
So it means that risk take started from the very young age.
As early as you can.
Innovative ideas to put into practices. So last question, very quick, 1 minute. How about IPO? Everything ready?
For us, we are more than IPO ready, right? So this is the 4th year of what we call PCAOB compliance, Public Company Accounting Board, verified books in that sense. We are also, over the last few years, built out a lot of control, SOX compliance and stuff like that. So I think I would dare say that we are ready, right? The issue though is, macro environment is not exactly very stable right now, right? Especially after the recent US elections and stuff like that. I think we'll get better, right? We do not know whether it's the next 6 months, 12 months, or 18, or even 24 months for us to IPO. But I would say that for us, what's important is get ready. The moment the market is right, we should go.
Okay, waiting for the macro economy to set up the right time. Okay, thank you today, Mr. Aaron Tan, of course, the co-founder and group CEO of Carro. More news to come.